Good morning, everyone. This is the first panel session at the Left Forum for 2015. People all over this building are meeting on different topics. We are talking about something incredibly significant and important in the history of U.S. imperial adventures and projection upon the world, and that is the use of targeted killing and the legal justification of targeted killing coming out of the previous and the current administration. This portends danger and killing and death for the future. And we are so fortunate, as World Can't Wait, we have done panels on drone killing since 2009 at the Left Forum. And I was telling Marjorie the first couple times we did it, it was very hard to get people to pay attention because drone technology was nowhere near as pervasive as it is now. And it was also secret. There was a secret drone war carried on by Barack Obama for the first several years. And it really wasn't until 2013 when Barack Obama made his famous national security speech after the prisoners at Guantanamo had done an almost 100% hunger strike and drawn world attention to the prison, that Obama had to make this speech. So he dispensed with Guantanamo by saying, oh, we're going to close it. And we will be talking about that at a panel tomorrow. And he talked about drone killing and how difficult it is for him to have responsibility for killing civilians. There was an admission that maybe a few civilians were killed. We in this room know differently. I think we're in the presence of at least, more than several people who have protested up at Syracuse at Hancock Air Force Base very persistently to ground the drones. And now we're in the presence of people who are also legal authorities on the injustice of the U.S. drone war. We're glad to have people in the room, and we're also glad that we are being videotaped. Brooklyn Community Access TV and PeckyWhelan.net. Ground the Drones channel is here. We are going to be taking questions, but we will have one addition to our panelists, and I just want to let you know who will speak ahead of time. We're going to start with Marjorie Cohn, who teaches at the Thomas Jefferson University School of Law, as a former president of the National Lawyers Guild, and someone who's been for, I should say, many decades in the front line of fighting for social justice. Maybe 2 decades. We're also going to be welcoming Amanda Bass, who we're sharing with another panel. She is a very recent graduate of NYU Law School, and she is distinguished for a couple of reasons, but one is that she led the fight this year to expose and criticize Harold Koh, K-O-H, who is a former official in the Obama Justice Department, State Department, and someone who also worked under the Bush regime, sometimes a critic of some things, but a big proponent of targeted killing, who came to have a position at NYU. And Amanda and other students spoke up very importantly against it. Ed Kinane is here from the Upstate Coalition to Ground the Drones and End the Wars, a writer on Truth Out, someone who I would say is a leader I look to in really opposing on the ground what the U.S. is doing, especially at Hancock Air Force Base, but out in the world of ideas as well. Elsa Rosbach was unable to be on our panel and present today for a very good reason, and that's because there's a lawsuit that's been brought by a Yemeni gentleman whose relatives were killed by U.S. drone strikes. This lawsuit's been brought in Germany, where Elsa lives, and she had to go back to Germany this week. or the beginning of the lawsuit. Unfortunately, the lawsuit was dismissed at the first level of the German court, so they're going to be appealing. And we have a video from her. Rather than show it, we're going to put it up on our website, share it with everyone, and make it available to the filmmakers so it can be put into the presentation. And we have a wonderful addition, somebody that we had hoped would be able to participate in our panel, but was planning to be out of the country working on international justice issues. But guess what? She's here. Jeanne Mirer, who's the president of the International Association of Democratic Lawyers, as opposed to the International Association of Imperialist Lawyers, which would be the ABA, I guess. So Jeanne is an expert on issues of international law, and we're so pleased to be able to draft her at the last minute to be on this panel. I should say that I'm Debra Sweet. I'm the director of World Can't Wait. We have been paying attention to the U.S. drone war since the Bush regime first killed someone with a targeted strike in 2005. But when Obama came in and this became a new form of imperialist aggression, we started paying a lot of attention. And we're not giving up on it. It's still illegitimate. It's still unjust. It's still immoral. And you may join us at worldcan'twait.net all over the country in protesting, digging into it, and help us spread even this panel by sharing it on social media.
Thank you so much, Debra, and thank you to World Can't Wait for inviting me to participate in this panel and organizing this panel. And I'm delighted that Jeanne is going to join us on the panel. Jeanne actually wrote one of the chapters in the book Drones and Targeted Killing, and she's going to discuss the illegality of targeted killing. I just wanted to mention that other contributors to the book include Medea Benjamin, Richard Falk, Phyllis Bennis, Tom Hayden, Ishan Manushin, who is an Israeli, one of the original Israeli refuseniks from the Lebanon War, who is the executive director of Pakati, Public Committee Against Torture in Israel. They brought the targeted killing lawsuit in the High Court of Israel. John Quigley, Alice Ross from the Bureau of Investigative Journalism, which is the premier organization for documenting civilian casualties out of London. Jay Stanley from the ACLU, who talks about surveillance drones in the United States. Jeanne Mirer, who writes for The New Yorker, Harry van der Linden, a philosopher who talks about just war theory in relationship to targeted killing with drones, and the foreword is written by Archbishop Desmond Tutu. I edited the book and wrote the first chapter, which is called A Frightening New Way of War. In his 2009 acceptance speech for the Nobel Peace Prize, Barack Obama declared, and when I quote, I'm going to go like this: "Where force is necessary, we have a moral and strategic interest in binding ourselves to certain rules of conduct. And even as we confront a vicious adversary that abides by no rules, I believe the United States must remain a standard bearer in the conduct of war." By the time Obama accepted the Nobel Peace Prize, 1 year into his presidency, he had ordered more drone strikes than George W. Bush had authorized during his 2 presidential terms. So the Bush administration detained and tortured suspected terrorists. The Obama administration has chosen to illegally assassinate them, often with the use of drones. The continued indefinite detention of men at Guantanamo belies Obama's pledge 2 days after his first inauguration to close the prison camp there. However, Obama has added only 1 detainee to the Guantanamo roster. This government has decided that instead of detaining members of Al-Qaeda at Guantanamo, they are going to kill them, according to John Bellinger, who formulated the Bush administration's drone policy. On Terror Tuesdays, Obama and John Brennan, who is his former counterterrorism advisor, now CIA director, go through the kill list to identify which individuals should be assassinated that week. The Obama administration has developed a creative method to count the civilian casualties from these assassinations. All military-age men killed in a drone strike zone are considered to be combatants unless there is explicit intelligence posthumously proving them innocent. Obama orders 2 different types of strikes: personality strikes, which target specific individuals suspected militants or terrorists, and signature strikes, which are sometimes called crowd killings, where they don't even know who they're killing. If there is an area of suspicious activity and you are a male between the ages of, say, 16 to 65 military age, you are considered to be a combatant and you will be killed. So a lot of times they don't even know who they're killing in these signature strikes. And when Obama gave that speech that Debra referred to in 2013 at the National Defense University, he talked about the requirement that there be an imminent threat before taking one of these strikes. And he also talked about how there must be a near certainty that the terrorist target is present. But when you don't know who the terrorist target is, because you're just targeting a pattern of suspicious activity, an area of suspicious activity, how are you going to be have near certainty that the terrorist target will be there? Now, according to the New York Times, some State Department officials have complained to the White House that the criteria used by the CIA for identifying a terrorist signature were too lax. The joke was that when the CIA sees 3 guys doing jumping jacks, the agency thinks it's a terrorist training camp. Men loading fertilizer, could be bomb makers. They could also, of course, be farmers. Now, Obama has extended his battlefield beyond Iraq and Afghanistan to Pakistan, Yemen, Somalia, Libya, now Syria, even though the United States is not at war with those countries, or at least officially at war. U.S. drones fly from allied bases in Saudi Arabia, one of our closest allies, a beacon in the area of human rights, as we all know, Turkey, Italy, Qatar, the Philippines, and the United Arab Emirates. Armed drones are operated by pilots who get dressed up in flight suits 7,500 miles away from their target in Creech Air Force Base, which is outside of Las Vegas, and they can see the faces of the drone victims before they drop the bombs. There's a new film that you should see. It was reviewed in the New Yorker. It has Ethan Hawke and January Jones, top cast. But it's not in, I don't know why it's not in the theaters. I just have no idea. But you can see it in small theaters, and it's called Good Kill.
It's at the
And
IFC
after they,
till Tuesday.
pardon me?
It's at the IFC till Tuesday.
Oh, good, good. Yeah, I saw it in San Diego at a very small venue. So it refers to when they press the button to emit the bomb from the drone, and then it explodes. They say "Good kill." That's what the title is about. And this movie shows the descent of the lead character Ethan Hawke into very, very serious PTSD. When he'll press the button to drop the bomb, and then there's a 10-second lag, and in that 10 seconds, women and children walk into the area, and it's really a very, very powerful film. And a drone's victim never hears the missile that kills him. The drones are hovering above the area, sometimes for hours and days on end. It's the philosopher in this book, Harry van der Linden, refers to the surveillance platform, where they're really watching for hours and days on end. In 22 hours, a drone can stay in the air. The most intimate details of people's lives, and then deciding what that moment is that they want to drop the bomb. Now, after the drone drops a bomb on its target, a second strike often bombs the people, rescuing the wounded from the first strike. This is called a double tap. So, and you can see that in this film as well, Good Kill. It really should be called a triple tap, because then they bomb mourners at the funerals. And so you wonder why there's so much increasing resentment against the United States when so many civilians are killed and family members and friends of people in these countries.